Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of KashCraft. My name is KashMuney and this is episode 33. We are back with the circus where last episode we built this entire carnival. It is seriously the most amount of building I've ever done in an episode, but it turned out so amazing. But today we're still going to be working on the circus, but actually on the backside. Yeah, along the back I have literally nothing going on. We have some land right here, but it's literally just floating over the water, so we gotta fix that. We're also going to go on an armament adventure later on in this episode, but for now, let's get started on doing the back of our circus. Oh, and actually, between episodes, I cleaned up this little hill right here. Before, it was just like a cliff and a bunch of stone, and it is looking much better. Okay, so I have some shulker boxes of resources that we are going to be using to do the backside of our circus. Okay, so for this backside, I want to just add some rock formations, kind of transitioning from the land the circus is on to the water, and get rid of this weird floating shelf. Then we'll extend our path wherever it is. Yeah, we'll extend our path around, continue this like area of decay around our circus. The idea is that the shadows from the circus are killing off some of the grass at the base of it, and of course add lots of vegetation. So yeah, I guess we'll see where that takes us. Okay, we're going to start with the terraforming of this coast. I can't say that I've done like large scale terraforming before, so we are going to be figuring this out as we go. So the idea is we start with some amount of moss on the surface, and then as we go down we transition to more cobblestone, then into some tuff, before finally going into some cobbled deep slate. And yeah, how something like that look? It's pretty subtle honestly, but I don't mind it. Okay, and hear me out, we add some mossy cobblestone to help with this effect. I'm seeing the vision more. I think we can go something like this. I think it'd be good to have some boulders kind of along this shore, like have some more flat areas and some bigger boulders, just break up this landscape a bit. So I suppose we'll just try and make a few boulders. Can just add some nice cobblestone textures, throw in some moss here and there, make use of the moss carpets. Yeah, something like that. Maybe this one's going to be a tall boulder and we can use some tuff to really show its transition from light to dark. And there is another boulder. I guess we can just add a couple of these of varying sizes along our shoreline and we should be good. Here's another, here's a tall boulder, and there are a good handful of more boulders. If we just fly away, yeah, that just decorates our coastline a bit more, but it looks kind of weird just having a bunch of random boulders here. So we need to actually integrate them into this terrain. And that means, adding our gradient from the surface down to the water below. So without further ado, let's get working on that. Let's roll a quick time lapse. And wow, that was a lot of terraforming and mud placing, but this thing looks awesome. If you notice, we have these almost pillars of rock. So like where we have a boulder above ground, it extends below ground, and where there's some dirt, well, there's dirt. And it looks like we just have these teeth along the river shore just holding it up. As you saw, I covered the bottom of our riverbed in mud. It's just nice to get rid of all the sand and dirt and gravel stuff going on. Creates more of a blank background, so you really focus on the tent and what that has going on. But it is feeling a little bit too barren on the riverbed, so I wanted to go ahead and add some more of our boulders. We can make it look like a piece of a boulder fell off and is now resting at the bottom of our river. It's these little details that turn a build from decent to awesome. Just helps tell the story that we have going on, which storytelling in builds is one of my favorite things to do. Maybe we can vary some of the stone we use just to show that some boulders have been down around here longer, and some have only recently fallen. And then to complement our riverbed, we can just go around with some bone meal, add some seagrass, and add some sea pickles just to light up this a bit. We don't want to make it like super obvious it's lit up, but just a little light, you know, add some life to it. Maybe our riverbed's a little bit too dark. We'll just add a couple more candles here and there. And yeah, that is looking a lot better. Okay, so now we can move to the next thing. If you noticed, I only did a strip of the land next to the rocks. That's because we need to still add our path in. We're gonna have a nice scenic path kind of winding around our circus, and I'm using the wool to lay that out right now. Something like that should work. And now we just get to fill that path in as we work our way around our circus. Actually, wait, I think we're going to switch up this path design a little bit. This path is just not going to be traveled as much. So we're going to have the wear on our path reflect that. It's all about the small details and storytelling. Compared to our carnival paths, which are very well traveled and worn, we can jump over a chest monster, and yeah, this feels like so much more rickety, less traveled, so we can just carry it around and try and blend it into our rocks right here. Do I really know how I'm gonna blend this? Debatable, but we can figure it out. I'm just making my path like normal, trying to keep it relatively narrow, you know, to reflect that not very worn vibe we were talking about. And then we're gonna go back and try and add as much moss as we can, sprinkling in some dirt here and there for some variety. And around some of the rocks, we want to have a little bit more dirt than normal. You know, the shadow of the rock killing off the vegetation. Okay, so we have our path in and our moss on one half of this. Now we get to turn to the other half. If you see over here, we have, you know, our shadowed area that we were talking about. So we're just going to extend this along our circus, really all the way over to the end of our path. Do I have resources for this? Not enough. Okay, this is where I thank myself for having a good amount of farms. I've not had to gather much building like the carnival and, you know, the rest of our circus. Thankfully, I have all my farms set up and I've gathered enough resources. I can just grab whatever I want. Gotta say, it's a little bit painful punching out all these grass blocks and replacing them. It's just a little bit on the slow side. Oh wait, we walked into the haste beacon. That is perfect. It's a little bit faster, but comparatively it feels like we're flying. Yeah, this grass better watch out for these fists. Well, a lot of dirt placing later, and we have our shadowy patches of dirt done. It's weird, there's just one layer of detail at a time, and slowly this place is coming together. But we have our next small detail. We need to extend our fence to the water area. We don't want anybody sneaking in and robbing our circus of its hard-earned money, maybe even its hard-earned cash, and we'll just run it up to our rocks on our shore. Anyways, we can get our posts in, our nice little decorations, then we can add the pieces in between our posts with our chains, of course, and we can texture around the base of our fence because, you know, the shadows and shading always pops back up. And there's our nice fence along our path. I do like how we have our fence, you know, keeping people out, but then it looks like our rocks are a sort of fence. Not that it's actually doing that, but like the kind of visual look is there. Can I land on this? Yes, I can. Okay, but can we talk about how our fence really creates a perimeter of lights? Like we have our circus, which is very bright and safe, and then everything else, which, you know, is not. It's just a cool effect that I really appreciate. But anyway, we can get started on our vegetation. Finally, although I still don't want a creeper to blow me up, hang on. Anyway, for doing the vegetation, the idea is that only the area right along our river is going to have the moss. The rest is going to be a little bit darker. I think of it as the water from our river has provided some extra resources to help stuff grow, and that has made the vegetation by the water flourish, but the rest doesn't get that much water. Because of that, it is not as green. Plus, we also have a big like open area right here. We should probably add something of interest. Maybe we can just add a couple small rocks. We definitely don't want to take away from what we have going on with our circus, but just having a little bit here and there is good. Once we get our moss in and some of our azalea bushes, we can then just take some bone meal and start bone milling our grass. So it's really just bone milling an area, punching out what we don't like, and keeping what we do. Though we do have to be careful not to bone meal the moss, otherwise we're gonna have everything become moss. And once we get the grass in, I like to just go back and add some flowers. I think it's always cool having a little bit of color interspersed throughout. And you know that moss limitation means we can't actually bone meal our shoreline, so we get to do all this by hand. Maybe we can play into the idea that the shoreline allows for some more special plants using our sniffer variants more so in this area. And you know, I always like to add a little bit of glow, so we can just add some firefly bushes along our water's edge. Would help if I turn my particles on. And after enough placing, this is what we get. Some nice overgrown land, our shoreline with lots of flowers, and yeah, this is feeling very nice. Kind of gives an idea of what this land was like before the circus came. But overall, I am really happy with how this turned out. If we just fly away for a second, yeah, that just adds so much life to this side of the circus. I mean, before it was literally just a slab of grass, but now we actually have something going on. So we accomplished this huge goal. Let's go have some fun. Let's get on with this armor trim adventure. You know the deal. We got to go through our funhouse first and into our triminizer room with our armor trim collector. So we have 16 of 18 armor trims, and when it comes to our collection, we need to collect 17 first, and then we can unlock our silence armor trim, the hardest one to get in the game. But that means we're going to be doing the rib armor trim today, which we can push our button and get our armor trim from our dispenser. The rib is in the nether fortress, so we have a nether adventure today, which I don't know how to feel about that. I can't say that the nether is my strong suit, but I'm sure we'll be fine. How hard can it be? All right then, I have my resources together. We are ready to go, so let's hop in our nether portal and begin this armor trim adventure. And let's hope it goes well. So I'm not really sure how rare these armor trims are. I mean, they vary by structure, and this one I imagine is going to be like kind of difficult. And you know what? I should probably take a fire resistance potion so that if I fall in lava accidentally, I don't burn. Man, I am so smart sometimes. Totally not by experience. But yeah, I know what I'm doing. Oh no. I don't know what to say about that. I was flying around the nether and slammed into a wall. Let's hope our stuff didn't burn. I think we should be okay. Oh, and you know what? I have a recovery compass. I forgot I had this. I mean, people often say the recovery compass is not worth it, and it's very expensive, that's for sure. But literally, it shows you where you died, and in this type of situation, it is perfect. I just gotta figure out how to navigate my way to get back there. And, you know, try and avoid dying again. Oh, I think we're here. Yeah, that was like 30 seconds of searching, and we got everything. See, everyone, recovery compass for the win. Go get one for yourself. I am going to hold on to my totem of undying so we can avoid that kind of situation again. And let's keep searching for this nether fortress. Should be right around here. Oh yes, there we go. Yay, we made it. All right then, let's start looking through this nether fortress and try and find ourselves a rib armor trim. I always like to mark my progress by placing dirt in the hallways I've already visited. That way I'm not just backtracking a bunch of times. Here, we found a good part of this fortress, so let's just see what we can find. So far, it's been dead ends, but I'm sure we'll find something eventually. Ooh, a blaze spawner. Can't say that I found any chests yet, but I'm sure they're right around the corner. They're gonna be right here. No. Ooh, right here. Okay. What? Our first chest has the armor trim. I've been to like, I don't know, 3 nether fortresses on this world and raided them all, and I've never found an armor trim here. But our first chest, literally we get the rib armor trim. I don't know how that works. I just played this game. Well, I guess we can continue to raid these chests and see what we can find. The previous 5 armor trims I've gotten, all the trail ruin ones in the jungle, I got them like right away with some insane luck too. So maybe like I'm just getting super lucky with armor trims, or maybe they're not as hard to find as I thought they were. I don't know. Yeah, we've gone through, I want to say 8 chests now, and it's only been that first one that we've actually managed to find our armor trim. Well, that's all, I guess. Don't know what else to say other than we got very lucky there. And hey, you won't hear me complaining about finding that armor trim. All right, let's head back now, shall we? Oh, here we are. I guess we're a lot closer than I thought we were. Not bad. That was almost like a speed run to get armor trim in Minecraft. Let's go add in our rib armor trim. We are so close to having all of our armor trims collected, which once we do that, we get to actually stylize our armor. Put that in there, and then before you know it, we'll get our rib armor trim lit up. Yep, there we go. put that in there. Now that we have 17 of 18 armor trims, we can finally unlock our silence armor trim, which means we're going to go to an ancient city, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to save that for a later day. So keep an eye out for that episode in the next several weeks, where we get to go to the ancient city and complete our collection. Wait, how could I forget? We're supposed to bring a friend back each of our armor trim adventures. We have a small collection of them over here, and they're going to be for a petting zoo. So we need to do that for our nether fortress adventure, and for that we are going to get a nice mob from the nether. That mob is going to be the strider. So we need to build some sort of staircase going from the lava pool to our portal. Get a saddle and some, what is this, warped fungus on a stick. Drink our fire resistance. Go grab a strider real quick and take it back up. I haven't ridden one of these in so long, but they're so cute. All right. Oh, take it through. Oh, it goes through instantly. Interesting. Gonna take our friend over here. I think they take damage in the rain. I might be making that up, but just to be extra cautious, we're going to leave our strider in our circus. And we're going to grab a second strider real quick. We don't want them to be lonely or anything. That'd be sad. All right, come here, friend. Off we go. And there we go. We got 2 striders. All right, so we have one last thing to do today before we can wrap this episode up. We need to make our frame, which we're out of frames on the circus. I can't believe we filled them in already, but we need a way to commemorate this episode. I think the best way to handle this is to make a frame in an area that's, best suits what we did that day. So today, since we did this, the backside of our circus, I thought we could add a little frame right here. So we're just going to make our little billboard in this area. And while this isn't the traditional way we've done our frames, we still get to keep track of our memories and builds, and that is what's most important. This is our frame for today, a nice representation of our circus with all of the terraforming we did. But anyways, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. This was an awesome episode. We got a lot of progress done with the circus, and we even got our last armor trim before we can do our final one. I'm super proud with how our terraforming came out. Having never done large-scale terraforming, I feel like we did pretty darn well, and it really integrates our circus into the terrain. Let me know what you think of how we did with the terraforming, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day!